In the name of Allah, most merciful, most compassionate, and a blessing be upon the Prophet Muhammad, his companion and household. Peace be upon you, ladies and gentlemen. I will be speaking in English language. I wanted to speak in Arabic, but unfortunately for time limitation, I try to use English language. So I am going to briefly go over some points.
Very quickly in English, a few words, because what we heard today is just quite interesting. We came to listen to three main topics. The first one was on al-akhlaq and how the scholars had to deal with it. The second had to do with arts, and the third one was with politics, and very sorry didn't have time to come to some of the questions, because I think we had questions here, and very, very practical one. And this is exactly the point. The very essence of our center is what we heard today. The gap between the values that we heard, the principles that we have, the maqasid that we are defending, and what is really on the ground, is the gap between the first discussion in the morning about our values and the reality of what should be done in the field of arts and politics. And you felt it as much as I felt it. There is a gap. There is a gap between the theoretical framework and what we have to do. And this is exactly where the center is working. And it's not going to come here. We can't in one day have all our answers. That's not the reality. So this is why we come with scholars in closed doors and working with them. علماء الواقع, علماء النصوص سويا ونناقش بعض المسائل. Very, very focused. And we had one already last January on bioethics. And this is where I think we felt out of our discussions today that we have a lot of work to do. Let me say 5 points very quickly because we don't have time, just to summarize what I got from the day, but also translating the philosophy of the center as well, as Dr. Jasser was saying this morning. When we come, you know, we have to be very cautious. In Arabic, the word al-akhlaq could have many meanings, as it has in English or in Western languages. We are not only talking about behaviors. We are not only talking about, you know, إنما بعثت لأتمم مكارم الأخلاق, this hadith that was repeated this today. Be careful. When we talk about ethics and when the Prophet ﷺ is saying something essential here, that the meaning of his mission was the good behavior. This was not only the good behavior. This is the essence of our religion. This is the very meaning. The heart of Islam is about what we are talking about when we talk about ethics. So in fact, when we talk about ethics, we are not talking about al-halal wal-haram only. When we talk about ethics, it's the very essence of our religion. In fact, is the ends, the goals. So by talking about this, it's very much what Shatibi, and recently, and he was very often mentioned today, Sheikh Draz in his PhD thesis, what he is talking about. In fact, this book is powerful. Why? Because he's coming from inside, talking to Muslims, and in fact, he responds to the West not by talking to the West. He's talking Muslims. He's talking ourselves. It's something which is directed to the Muslims. And our problem even today is when we talk about al-akhlaq, we talk to the West, not to ourselves, not in the critical way that we should do it. And I think sometimes we have to stop talking about what the West is doing and not doing and come to the questions the West is asking and the answers the Muslims can contribute with. It's not just to respond to what the West is doing, and sometimes we are doing things in this way. And when we had the first seminars, sometimes we were 8 working on a very specific topic in bioethics. And it was quite clear that because we had people of other faiths or with no faith, we were talking to them as Muslims. While in fact, this was not the point, and this is not the point of the center. The center is not an Islamic research center based on Islamic legislation to talk to the West. It's to reform the Muslim minds. It's to reform our understanding. It's to reform the way we deal with this. What Sheikh was repeating this when he was with us, Ben Baya, Sheikh Ben Baya was repeating something which is coming from al-asl, is tahqiq al-manat, is how do we translate this into reality? And we had scholars, Sheikh al-Qardaghi was with us, and repeating and coming with a vision, and we need to push in that direction. Now, there is also something which is important, and we heard this when we talk about ethics in arts. And what was said, and Sheikh Talim, when he said this hadith coming from the Prophet ﷺ is so important. I would disagree. I think that there is something that we can call al-akhlaq al-insaniyya. I would say that, and this is what Sheikh Ibn Ashur was saying, when he was talking about something which is essential, al-fitra, there is something that we can take. So there is something that we have to deal with. And there is something when it comes to art, for example, to understand, be careful. Don't put Islam everywhere, but know that ethics is everywhere. And ethics means that when we find ethics, we will find Islam. But don't come with al-halal wal-haram framework to say, is this the way we deal with it? No. Sometimes is mubah, al-aslu fil ashya' al-ibaha. يسألونك ماذا أحل لهم قل أحل لكم الطيبات. الطيبات is the essential thing. Everything is first permissible as aslu fil ashya al-ibaha, and this is something that we have to take as something when it comes from you, when it comes from al-insaniyya, and it's not against Islam, it's Islam. No. This is, you know, the work that we have to do today. You know that we have to work very hard to come to this understanding. So this is something which has to do with our very positive and constructive idea of our relation with Allah. فهم التوحيد الأصل في الأشياء هذا هو. This is what I wanted to say when it comes to our way of dealing with the al-akhlaq, our way of dealing with Islam and ethics. The third point that I wanted to make, just to come to an end, is about the methodology. We know, just to tell you something, when we were talking about having seminars, ورشة عمل, علماء الواقع, we were thinking, is it going to work? And in fact, when we had this discussion the first time, it works. It works if and only if we come from the theoretical question to the practical questions, to push the ulama. And not only the ulama, also the scholars that are coming from the West. Because we have a problem with the West. We think that what is coming from the West is scientific and it's not disputable. There is no ideology. It's an ideology to think that there is no ideology in the use of sciences. It's an ideology when they tell you, the way we deal with the organ. And sometimes the scholars are coming and say, okay, let us come with a fatwa. And to show how updated we are. That's wrong. We have to be very cautious. Sometimes the way we deal with the science is problematic in itself. Because the tafkik hada, it's also something which is losing the way. We need also to come to, and the Sheikh al-Raisuni at one point in our discussion in January, stopped the discussion and say, I have a question. What is, ما هو الطب? What is medicine? At the end of the day, be careful, because we are pushing and pushing and pushing towards something which is segregation of knowledge, categorization of knowledge. You come with the fatwa and you lose the way. We come with a fatwa in very specific things, but you might come with a fatwa that is dealing with something which is losing the general and the comprehensive approach. So we are challenging both. We are challenging the scholars and we are challenging the scholars of the context. And I think that this is also something that we have to do. And this is what we got from our understanding. So my point with the center and what we are doing with Dr. Jasir and all the team is not to come to something which is the halalization and haramization of everything. No, it's something which has to do with asking the questions, and what we got today is to be able to say something. Now it's critical. We heard this from the practitioners, the artists, saying be careful. If now you don't come with something which is a positive, constructive approach coming from Muslim minds in the way we deal with arts, meaning don't stop the people from being creative, don't stop the people from producing, don't stop the people to be in touch with the people, don't stop this, don't stop and don't put haram on emotions, but direct them. If we don't do this, we are going to be completely disconnected. And then we come with very theoretical questions. You know what you heard this morning about corruption? I'm sorry, the first challenge for the Muslims in the Muslim majority countries is corruption. Now we can sit down and say it's coming from the kings, it's coming from the princes, it's coming from the presidents. In fact, it's our daily life. It is where corruption is everywhere. So let us come to the true implementation of ethics in the way we talk to ourselves. And art, it's something which is important. And then we come to politics. And I think that when we listen to what Gandhi was saying, we might disagree on the categorization, but he's saying something which is very important. At the end of the day, Muslims are not. If we don't understand the politics, he said something that Gandhi asked from the very beginning. What is the objective of politics? Which is qasd, al-maqasid, maqasid al-siyasa. So this is also something that we have to discuss and come to the practical answers that are needed. So inshallah in the future, these kind of meetings are just for opening up, to get in fact the questions. I can tell you that after this, we know that we have lots of questions. And just before ending, our brother Yusuf Islam told me, may Allah help you. Because he sees the gap between the ideals and the practicality. So inshallah, we'll carry on this work. I just want to say one few words, because we are very often thanking all the people at the top that are helping us, and we thank you. But I want to thank all the anonymous persons and people that you haven't seen that have doing the job. First, all the team here. You know, you had here Dr. Jasser, of course, Mawahib, who is here, Fatima Zahra, Shawqi, Badia, Zainab, Yumna, and Asim, were all people who are in our team, and they have been working very hard over the last few days and weeks and months. I want also to thank our steering committee. They are not here. One of them is here, but they are with us through the live streaming. And we want to thank them because they have been also very instrumental. Marwa and Eid and QMDI, who were helping us to do the job. And all the anonymous, all the people who are around. At the end of the day, it might be, and it is, that without them, we cannot do what we are doing. And if we have to be ethical, let's start with the anonymous. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.